What's up, everybody? It's Coach Ross Football. Welcome back to the channel. This channel here is dedicated to the air raid offense, the spread offense, anything and everything about the spread offense that you want to learn about. We go over on this channel, so that is something you're interested in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Also, like this video, share this video out to anyone who might want to see or might want to need help. This is part 3 of the air raid blueprint series that I am doing with Coach Bryan Deason. This time, we are bringing on a special guest. Coach Matt Lasker is going to join us in this discussion. So we're going to get into it right now. So like I said, welcome back to the channel. This is Coach Ross Football. This is episode 3 of the Air Raid Blueprint, and we are joined by a special guest. Everybody knows, but he claims that not everybody knows him. But we got Matt Lasker joining us for an episode. So, Matt, how you doing, man? It's been a while, but for those that don't know you, which is not many, go ahead and kind of just reintroduce yourself to the world.
No, I appreciate you having me back on, Jason and Coach Deason. We've been talking football for a couple of years now, but great to see you guys. So yeah, just to refresh everyone, I had put out a little series through COVID about middle school air raid and my YouTube channel, Coach Lasker. That's really what we focus on. But over the last few years, I have coached middle school, youth, all and some high school. And hopefully we could talk a little bit about that during our shallow conversations. I got film from all three. And then the last few years, I've been really focused on creating this new player book coaches tool to help offensive coordinators. And now I'll show you a little update at the end today about how defensive coordinators can now take advantage of the tool. It's just really a great teaching interactive whiteboard tool. So yeah, just kind of been all over the ranks of coaching and now I'm kind of focused on enabling coaches in a new way. So thanks for having me on, guys.
So thank you, Matt, for that introduction. Also, all his information where you can contact him, where you can see his classes, his YouTube channel, all that's going to be linked down in the description. He's got a great website. He's got a great YouTube channel. So again, check Matt out. He's got a great source of material for the air raid offense. So he's willing to join us for episode 3 of this series that we're putting together. And again, coaches, the whole goal for this series is just simply to give you a perspective on different concepts through different coaches' perspectives so that you can pick up on different teaching points, different ways to explain it to your kids in a way to make it easier to simplify your teaching so that the kids understand it that much easier. And so that in turn affects the execution on the field. So whatever you pick up from this, we're given multiple perspectives from one concept at a time so that again this better helps those coaches who have no idea or who are just now starting to jump down or go down that air raid rabbit hole. So from here on out we're going to start talking about shallow cross, and we're going to turn it over to Coach Deason here in just 1 second.
Coach Deason here. We're going to talk about shallow a little bit. I don't know how many of you guys have this as a mainstay in your air raid offense, but it is the go-to play for us. This is our first day install. We built our whole offense around shallow, um, using kind of the basic idea of anytime we want to, excuse me, anytime we want to run this play, we're looking for three major things. We want to stretch the defense horizontally at all levels. We want to isolate the linebackers in space, and we always want to keep the quarterback reads simple: 1, 2, 3. We need to keep it clean. We need to keep it fast, and we need to keep it repetitive. This is the first day play install for us. We run shallow just a little bit different than everyone else. We have quite a few versions, and it's probably one of the easiest plays to get in and out of with your tags. Now we run shallow with wide zone, and we like to run it with the GT counter. We think it pairs up with those two plays very well, and it really puts a lot more stress on the defense. Basically, any defensive coverage shell that you're looking at, it's going to be able to handle that. I think two of the biggest teaching points that we like to get across is we don't typically read it like most people read it. Most people, when they're teaching shallow, will read you the post dig to shallow. We run it as an RPO basically. And so the fundamental for us is we're always wanting to read the shallow first, then we go dig, then we'll post, then we'll be out on the back. Now that's not the way we read it every single time, but that is our base way we read it. Okay, because we want to hit the shallow crosser for as many yak yards as we can get anytime we throw that play in the playbook, and we're running it for the week. We try to get as many reps or as more reps of that than any other play that we have in our playbook. If they chase the crosser, we're going to give him, the ability to set in the zone, or work vertical routes behind him. Okay. So our basic shallow cross is kind of, what we have set up here. We like to run it against cover two. It's not, absolutely the best coverage choice for some guys, but for us, when we run it against cover two, we are more successful when we do it. Okay. The typical shallow that you're going to see in the L raid is the X is going to be, he's going to run a fade or out vertical. Okay. Then the shallow normally comes from the F receiver. In our base package, we use our F or A back or our scat back or slot receiver. We like to run the corner with him. And the reason why we do that is, again, we have it attached to wide zone, and it gives us a chance to run this RPO and run the wheel out of the box. If the corner bells and gets depth underneath the corner route, then we're trying to pin the wheel in, and we just hand the ball off and we go with it. If the wheel gets funny and the corner starts chasing the shallow and the wheel drops, and they're going to bracket this corner route by our A, then hey, we'll just go ahead and throw the shallow route right now. And so our eyes are always going to be there. Our quarterback's footwork is going to be at 9 and 6 o'clock. We're going to turn open. The back is going to attack like he's running wide zone, and then he's going to get into the swing part of the route. We also have the ability within that, again, to read it as the normal mainstay for the shallow cross is post, dig, shallow, and then, out. So when we do that and we run it what we call on the face side or the flip side, we'll typically run it as a base play where X is running the fade or the slot fade, or we'll get a post, corner, a go, something like that. We'll have that tagged up, and then the F would run the shallow, which is also kind of the way we run mesh and a kind of Y cross with the F. So just that's kind of the basic breakdown of how we construct the shallow play. But for the ins and outs of it, again, your X is going to get the mandatory outside release unless he is on the shallow, like we have it drawn up here. Your F, when he runs a shallow, it's going to be a shallow cross, 3 to 5 yards. We teach the same thing for the X, 3 to 5 yards. I think one of the better coaching points that gets overlooked a lot with the shallow route is most coaches, if you're teaching the shallow route, we want it to be a vertical pass set. Now, obviously, if you're running it with GT counter or with wide zone, you're not going to have that vertical pass set. If you have an inside zone play attached to it, you can make it look like, standard shallow inside zone, and you can still set vertical. Okay, so a lot of times what we'll do is we'll set that play up first. We test our inside zone, we test our wide zone, we test our GT counter or zone stretch, and we kind of go through those running plays to see how shallow is going to set up against us and what they're doing against our base looks. Now, again, the coaching point that I think is missed a lot is the depth on the vertical pass set. To me, the way we teach it, the vertical pass set is going to be at 3.5 yards. So I want every one of my linemen to get their back foot at that 3.5 yard mark as fast as they can on their kicks and set up, our horseshoe. And our quarterback, he's trying to get to 8.5 to 9 yards deep to open up more space for our shallow route. That shallow route's ran at 3 to 5 yards. And sometimes if your guys are fighting at the line of scrimmage, it makes that read a little bit more muddy for your quarterback. So what we teach every day is, hey, vertical pass set, get your depth as fast as you can and hold your ground. Make sure there's no lanes when you get to your spot and make them run the loop. We found that you get that quarterback to 8 to 9.5 yards depth, then when they're running that loop, that quarterback will have time to read full field progression. So if you have guys that are running R4, or if you have guys that just strictly read it post dig shallow, it's going to put him in time at the top of his drop on his last step, that he should be able to read the shallow. If the shallow crosser is sitting down in the zone, or if he's still running against man, he'll be able to see that, and he'll have the room in front of him and enough open space to see that clearly. Okay. I have a couple videos. I'm not sure if you guys want to see them. Maybe we can run them at the end and show you those little finer teaching points of the shallow cross. But I think those are probably the most important things that, as a coach, that I'm teaching. And when I'm teaching other coaches and I'm, helping them decide if they want to put shallow cross in these forms into their offense, I think that's the thing that, I really have to stress the most is you have to be dedicated to it, just like mesh. You have to be dedicated into the finer points of the teaching of the concept and allow that shallow crosser to have room, and so the quarterback can make a good decision when they're throwing that. You guys got any questions?
Thanks, Brian, for showing us shallow. That is an awesome way to teach it and some great coaching points here. So next up, we're going to have Matt going to kind of talk about how he talks about shallow, how he teaches shallow, and going to definitely listen to what he has to say. So Matt, you're on up.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for letting me jump in. Definitely love that, Brian. Especially that corner route coming from the slot instead. I think that's pretty sweet, man. I got to think about doing that. So yeah, very much in the same way that you guys kind of or that you talked about it, Brian. The way we read it as well, and for us, we try to do it more traditionally. I haven't gotten too deep into playing around with our shallow. Um, we do run it at every level. We've done it at 12U, we've done it at 14U, and we've done it in high school. And so for 12U and 14U, we go exactly the same as you, low to high, right? The shallow to the dig, to the post. Um, the few times I've gotten to coach high school, it's been really fun because those kids could actually air the ball out, and man, it was really fun to watch them just go deep with it and hit those deep ones. So yeah, depending on the level, I think you could kind of change it up, but really what our main coaching points tend to be are while we do, yes, go low to high, shallow, dig, post, two main coaching points that we have really learned just through trial and error, right? Um, we really are talking about this outside linebacker with the magnifying glass. Even though, like I said, we're reading it one, two, three. It's really that we want to tell the kid. I mean, there's this a lot of coaches from the old school say, don't stare down, don't stare at the defender, don't look where you're going to throw. I am at this youth and middle school level where I've made most of my time work. We tell them stare at that outside linebacker to the dig side. That is what we drill in their head. Where's why shallow? Who are you reading? The outside linebacker to the dig side, the outside linebacker to the dig side. And we want him taking his drop and staring at that kid. And if he goes out, and if this is cover three, and we see more cover three out here than we see cover two at the lower levels at least, if he's going out to the flats, we are gonna hit that dig behind him every single time. And if he kind of stays in that hook to curl or stays with that dig player, then we're going to hit that shallow in front of him and get him out the gate. So, yes, we go low to high, but it's really all about that outside linebacker. Um, and so the second point is this dig. I know a lot of probably of you high school coaches, you probably see this dig traveling across the field, right? And then he will sit wherever the open grass might be. We tried to do that initially, and I learned the hard way that these kids at the middle school level, that's too much for them. And actually, I did an interview with an amazing coach, high school coach, Terrence Banks out in Georgia. You guys have probably seen his channel, and he was talking about it. And I hadn't actually talked to him about shallow, but he was talking about his favorite play is shallow and how he's doing this too, where you're not even going across the field. You're finding that little space, you're sitting your butt down and flashing your hands and stepping to the quarterback like settle and noose, right? And so we stopped even trying to go across the field and finding the right gap. It's like once you turn that corner, you are sitting down and flashing your hands and getting ready for the ball because And right now in 7-on-7 season, it's a great time to practice this because these linebackers obviously are know something is coming to them as a pass, and that quarterback has to be able to read it and just fire that ball in there. So for us, that is like such a fun way to practice it because it's not going to be that tight of a window in tackle season. But if you can learn it with these tight windows in 7-on-7 season, that's really going to be where we make our hay. And then this post, at the lower levels, again, it's more of a coaching for us. I'm like, hey, Coach Bob, look at that safety. You tell me if he's cheating because that's more of a tag for us. We're not really trusting the quarterback. I've had a couple elite quarterbacks, but even those kids, it's tough for a 14-year-old or a 12-year-old or 12, yeah, 12-year-old to see a safety creep down and make that shot over the top, right? So it's more like a tag. We're like, okay, Coach Bob says that safety's cheating down. I take a look the next time we call it. Okay, now he is. And then the next time it's like, hey, let's go ahead and pop that, right? So yeah, very much like you, but we did do it more traditionally with those slot receivers. Now, the last thing I'll just show is one of the real way that I have actually made this play work for me, and I don't even know if this is technically shallow anymore. Sorry, is out of two back. Okay, this is really how we really have done it. And it's probably should be called something else, but we put the H in the backfield and get into our green formation, right? And we have him kind of come through the line between the guard and the tackle, wherever he can kind of squeeze through and then pop out to that shallow side and read it the same way. But this way, the running back gets a little more lost, we found, and I've probably made more plays in shallow out of this type of scenario than a true 2-by-2 where we have like I just showed it. So a lot of great film on eighth graders just eating with this format with this type of shallow. But we read it the same way, right? We're out with that outside linebacker, and we'll make him wrong, regardless of what he decides to go after. But yeah, I mean, those are the two ways that we do it. Like I said, the younger we go low to high, the older kids we go high to low. But it is probably I know I talk a lot on my channel about youth and middle school. You probably don't need drop back. This is the first drop back game play that I would tell people to install once they get their quick game down and once they have, everything kind of set. This is what I would do next. Or if you really are saying, I need a drop back game play, I'm 14U, I think we can handle it. Absolutely, this is the first one that I would suggest because it is a simple read. It goes along with all of our other quick game, easy reads. You're looking at one person making them wrong, and it's repeatable for the quarterbacks to learn it that way.
Thanks, Matt, for your rendition of shallow. And also on top of that, he did give us another variation to shallow. Now we are, this series is kind of just showing you the very basic. Now, if you want different variations, which we have multiple variations of all the concepts that we talk about, but again, we could go down and be here for hours talking about every single variation when it comes to formations, motion. So again, if you want that kind of information, how you implement motions and shifts, I mean, there's no better person to talk to than Coach Bryan Deason with all the movement that he does. And then also the variations that Matt talks about. I mean, he's already shown you one, and I'm sure he's got 5 or 6 or a dozen more others on just shallow alone. So if you want that though, that fine tuning type of stuff, please drop it in the comments below so that we can get out to reach out to you, show you that stuff because we all have film on it. We all have diagrams built up. So we'd be more than happy to help out and offer you that information. But we're just kind of trying to teach you the finer teaching points to getting the basics of these concepts down. And then from there, you can spread your wings and fly as far as finding out new ways to run it, new ways to present it. So thanks, Matt. I guess I'm up next. I gotta follow the two masters when it comes to shallow, apparently. So I mean, I'm not going to have much different things to say. It's a lot of the same. However, there are a few different teaching points that I do go through. Again, like I think Matt said, read shallow to post, but instead of I think Matt, you said you read it to or excuse me, the shallow dig then post. I actually try and treat the post or the vertical routes as just basically just essentially just clear out routes. We will pre-snap those routes. So if we like a matchup or we see that one of their cornerbacks is weak, um, we do have we do give the quarterback the freedom to, if he feels that he can take that shot and win that, and then obviously the receiver has to win that matchup, then he has the option to pull the trigger on either one. So typically we run straight verticals, outside mandatory release verticals on the outside. Can't turn into a post if we see something, so that's simply just a tag we can add in, but it's typically for us it would just be straight on verticals. So that is a pre-snap rule here. That is not a that's not in the progression when it's post snap. That's, he is, again, like Matt talked about. We're reading the outside linebacker, that walk player, that is opposite the shallow or where the shallow is going. So we're actually going to read it go shallow, dig, and then we're actually going to read the swing out of the backfield. Uh, so a couple of little things that we are looking for here that I try and teach. So excuse me, the shallow for us, I try and keep that to a 1 to 2 yard route. So a couple things we teach our AHRs that we run it from both sides is when they run that shallow, their aiming point when they come off that line is they are trying to run through that near defensive end's heels. That will keep them shallow and just run exactly what the route's supposed to be. So they are aiming to go right through that near defensive end's heels, and to try and keep it shallow so he doesn't break it. Otherwise, it'll get to 5 yards, it'll get to 6 yards, and that route will just keep on climbing and climbing, and that's not what you want. You want to keep that shallow. And another thing we tell them, once you break the line of scrimmage, you are trying to get to the opposite sideline as fast as possible, because your route will not break open until you clear the other side of the formation. So when you get to the other side of the formation, that's when you should be looking for the football. Otherwise, you get to that spot as fast as possible. So as far as the dig route, we try and teach it as a mandatory outside release, because again, the quarterback, like you said, Matt, is going to be staring down this player. That's what we teach him. Once he goes to post snap and he's not throwing that deep ball or taking that shot, his eyes immediately are going to this walk defender right here. And what that defender does tells you exactly where you're going to be going with that football. So again, if this defender right here, he stays shallow in this area, that's a good indication that he's going to clear the space behind him. The space behind him is going to be open for that dig to hit, and where, like you said, also he can settle up. To echo what you said, I've never had a player run that dig and catch the ball clear on the opposite side of the field. It's either been right away, right when he's made his break, or he settled up somewhere in the middle of the field in the holes in the zone. So what we try and do with the dig especially is have him work outside. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this defender to commit, either to commit to showing that his job or his responsibility is to stay in that flat. So he's just going to keep his shoulders square to the line and just kind of flow into this flats and stay. Or does he turn his hips and run with this dig player? All right. So if he does that and he turns his hips and runs and basically turns his back to the quarterback, then we know the quarterback should know that he's got the shallow right behind it, right underneath it, and we're hitting probably one of our fastest players and one of our better players in space, full speed on a 1 to 2 yard throw. So the matchup there, the option there is to our liking, to our advantage, because not only that, we're essentially clearing out the space here with the corner and the vertical down the field, that we are trying to hit that shallow almost every single time. However, if the view or what it looks like is very, very cloudy for the quarterback, and he's not really exactly sure what to do or what that player is doing, he's kind of confused, we read it shallow dig to swing. We don't read the post. And actually, I kind of liked what Coach Mackey said a long time ago. He calls the swing route, especially in shallow cross, the old shit route. So if the shallow's not there and the dig's not there, oh shit, what do? Throw it to the running back, because the running back's always going to be open on this. So those are the finer teaching points. And again, a lot of it is more rinse and repeat what Brian and Matt said. But again, my read is shallow, dig, and then eventually down to the swing. Again, there are different variations that we do run on this, but this is the very basic. So the finer points we're again just reiterate real quick. With the shallow, you are trying to teach that receiver to run through the heels, that near side defensive end, and then get to the opposite sideline as fast as possible because he's not going to break open until he crosses the other side of the formation. And then the dig, outside release. As far as the depth, I don't think it really covered the depth. We try and teach it in steps, not necessarily on yardage. So one thing that I try and have the receivers visualize is I try and have them visualize the pre-snap depth of the linebackers, and you're trying to get about 1 to 2 steps deeper than the pre-snap depth. Now, obviously, once the ball is snapped, um, their their depth is going to change depending on whether they're blitzing or whether they're falling into a zone. But just getting that visualization in your head about where they are, that can kind of give you an idea. And it's usually about 5 to 7 steps when we have them make the break, but they're going outside release, trying to get that walk player, that apex defender, to try and turn his hips, and then he's making a 90-degree angle, and he's cutting across the field. Now, typically, he's not going to make it all the way across the field. He's going to find a place to settle, and then lastly, the swing right there. The running back is just, if we tell him not to cross the line of scrimmage, basically once he gets to the line of scrimmage, just get that sideline and just stop. And like other coaches have said, he's going to yell ball, 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 ball if the ball has not already left the quarterback's hands. So essentially, that is shallow, basically out of a 2x2 set for us in a nutshell, right there. And again, a lot of it is what you've already heard. So hope this helps, and then we're gonna hear a little bit more from Matt. So to close us out, our guest today, Matt, has a special, I would call it an app or a tool that started teaching quarterbacks how to read defenses, and I've used it. It's pretty cool. It's good stuff. It's cutting edge stuff. But now he's going a step further with it. So it's called Player Book, and he's gonna talk to us about the innovations and the new additions he's got to the system. So you really want to give him the time and really listen to what he's got to say. And the tool and the app itself is an awesome tool for quarterbacks, for football coaches in general, to help teach their kids outside of just showing it to them on huddle or just play or whatever it might be. But this is just another version to get the kids in depth with what they are seeing on the field. So I'm going to turn it to you, Matt.
Thanks, guys, for giving me a second to talk about this. I mean, like Coach said, it is a coaching tool. Initially, we were focused on quarterbacks, and this still is a great tool for quarterbacks. But now we've made a few innovations to make it something that all offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators can kind of use to ensure that they're getting the most out of their time. And so I know you guys coach some high school ball and even at the lower levels, there's a lot of times where we want to, get on the whiteboard and draw, right? So just like any other huddle tool or just play or the whiteboard, you can do all those great things in here. But now we want to bring this to life. So your players can actually start visualizing, okay, so early four verticals against cover three, they're really going to be able to visualize exactly what's going on here. And you can really start talking through the finer points of the leverage and the way that these plays will evolve against different coverages, and coaches can do early four verticals against cover three or cover two. Um, and then we can kind of take it one step further. You can now see that we're in Y cross against cover two. And again, we're visualizing this and really talking on the whiteboard. So you can, instead of drawing on the whiteboard and erasing and really wasting time, you can kind of come in here, preload your install or your whatever you're doing, defense or offensive install, and just really start visualizing it. And so that's a great way for you to kind of make the most out of your time when you have that classroom. And I know in high school, there's a lot more classroom time than in the younger levels. So you can really talk the entire, hour you might have before you hit the field. But then we also do have it now in the app now. This used to only be on the video game side for the kids, but now you can just toggle this into our quarterback vision and really start looking at, you can put the angles on these different players. So now, we can really again get into the winning nuanced conversations. You can see how many safeties there are and start talking about that. You can see that this cornerback is, is his body angle is looking in toward you. So now that's a clue that you can give to your quarterbacks as you're talking about, okay, there's two safeties. They're at about 5 yards and his body's aiming toward you. While it's not 100% going to be cover two, we have a good idea of what it might be. You can look at these linebackers and see these two are at about 5 yards, and this one is a little bit creeped up for some reason. So is he going to blitz? Let's take a look. And okay, yeah. So now we're talking about one of these linebackers blitzing, these other linebackers kind of filling that space, and maybe we send a receiver into that space to kind of backfill where he is, right? And so you can go back in here again, easily draw these different routes and any scenario that you can think of now, you can draw it again and then have the kids visualize it in real time while you're talking about it, or again, kind of preload this stuff so when you get to practice, when you get to practice, it is all kind of there for you. And of course, the best part about it, guys, is that it doesn't stop there. You can talk to your offense, defensive coordinators, to the whole team. But then the best part of this, guys, is that they take these home and play on their phone. Literally, the game that you just saw, it's on their phone and they're being scored based on what you would consider, in Y cross against cover two. You kind of know in your head what receiver should be open in that scenario. So as they're playing on their phone, they're choosing each player, throwing the ball, driving the field, and you're going to get reports back as a coach like, do they understand who is open in Y cross against cover two or Y corner against cover three? You get the detailed points. So then you can go kind of look at that and see which quarterbacks need help with certain concepts. And actually, the most important thing is making sure you're focused on the right concepts during practice. Because if they know something well, great. We don't need to focus on that as much. But if they are lagging or having a hard time with another concept, you can really focus on that during practice.
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Now, I will be one of the first ones to say that this app that he's come up with has come a long, long way. I remember he reached out to me when it was first in its infancy, if I said that word correctly, and had me use it with one of my quarterbacks in my high school, and it did, and it helped him because he actually passed for more yardage that season than he did actually the year after that because we didn't continue using it, but it was a good thing. And Matt, hats off to you for coming up with this kind of technology, man. It's something that the coaching world and the football world needs to get behind, especially. So it's good stuff, and I really, really do appreciate you bringing it and showing it. And coaches, I highly recommend you contact him again. Matt, I'm going to put all your information down in the description, but if you want to go ahead and tell him, how you can be reached and whatnot. Again, the stuff will be down in the description, but I mean, if you want to go ahead and just tell him now, you're more than welcome to.
Absolutely. So yeah, you can find it at playerbook.com. Now that's play R book. There's no ER there. So playerbook.com. You'll find all the information there. We have free trials. It's only $20 a month to have it as a monthly subscription. And you know, uh, we'd love to work with you guys on it. We can help you kind of upload all the air raid stuff. Of course, my air raid stuff's already uploaded. So if you just want to keep doing that, we can upload that for you, or you can have fun kind of drawing your own scenarios. So player book with playerbook.com, and you can kind of find out more about it. And I appreciate you saying that, Jason. It has come a long way in the last year, and we're excited to add these features because I really think this is really going to take it to the next level. So
Thank you, Matt, for again sharing that. It's awesome stuff. So this is actually going to be the end of this session. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on and joining me. Talking about shallow again, I learned some things from just watching you guys display how you teach it. I've already learned some things that I'm gonna probably steal from you. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna steal it from you a little bit and bring it into my own teaching. But that's the whole point of these conversations, these episodes, is just to give you different perspectives to what we do, and perhaps you learn that and you steal it and you innovate it and change it in the way that works well for you. That's how we all did it as coaches, and that's how we're trying to get back to you as well. So, gentlemen, you guys got anything before we get on out of here? Matt, we'll throw it to you first.
yeah, no, I just wanted to say, thanks for having me on. Great catching up with you, Jason, and you, Brian. It's always great to kind of hear what you guys have been up to. So yeah, thanks for having me on, and it was always fun talking ball with you guys.
Go ahead, Brian.
Again, yeah, yeah. Thanks, Jason. I really appreciate it. This series has been real fun. Matt, it's good seeing you again, man. And I'm looking forward to getting into the player book and messing around and doing some stuff like that. So I really love the 3D stuff. You know, we've been working on some stuff, so I can't wait to get my guys in front of that too. That's really cool. Jason, again, thanks for bringing me on this series and talking football. You know, can't wait for the next one. What do you think we'll do next time?
You know, I haven't even an idea because we're probably going to be getting into some guests. So, Matt, you are the first honorary guest. So, yeah, yeah. So, and we're going to have a few more. So, we're going to kind of talk about bringing some other guys on here to kind of share their ideas. So, it's kind of where the series is going. So, Brian, I can't give you a definitive answer right now because I haven't quite figured that out yet. So, it's kind of like a work in progress. But I appreciate you being my partner in crime in this series. And Matt, as always, it's always a pleasure talking to you, man. And thank
Absolutely.
you for stopping by and sharing your insight on shallow. And again, coaches, like I keep reiterating this fact. We just went through the basic stuff. If there's other variations you want to talk about, let us know, and we'll be happy to go further and further with this. I mean, so this conversation, more than happy to. But this is just this is meant or geared toward just getting you started, getting your foot in the door, if you will. So again, if you have any questions or anything like that, make sure you leave them down in the comments or message us directly. You know, Brian's information is down there. Matt's information is going to be in the description. So we're there for you if you need any help. So. Gentlemen, it's been great, man. I appreciate it. So, to all you out there in YouTube land, good night. We'll see you, and we'll see you in the next video. I appreciate you, gentlemen, for stopping by, and we will see you in the next video.